Hi everyone, welcome to another After School Tech Tips with the Technology Integration and Planning Supports Tips team. My name is Bernice and I will be showing you a little bit about Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard is a digital whiteboard that allows for remote or in-person collaboration within a shared space. Students or colleagues can draw their ideas on it. They can collaborate to problem solve synchronously or asynchronously. You can also save your Google Jamboard to Google Drive, export it as a PDF on the computer, or even just look at individual images of specific frames. So without further ado, let me show you a quick introduction to Google Jamboard. So as you can see here, this is Google Jamboard. You can see here that you can access it via jamboard.google.com. Alternatively, you can also go to the Google Apps tile next to your profile in any Google application. You can click on that and you can scroll all the way down to Jamboard. And if you click on that, you'll end up right back at this site again. So to create a Jamboard, you can click on New Jam on the bottom right-hand corner, this plus sign. And when I click on that, it's going to open up a Jamboard for me. Just like any Google document, you can see that you can name it by clicking on the area here that says Untitled. So we're going to call this Test Run Jamboard. And I'm going to show you a few of the features. So first of all, up here is the pen on the left-hand side. As a pen, if you click on that, you can draw all over this. Alternatively, you can also change it to the marker or the highlighter or the brush. And again, there are also different colors as well. So you can see here that there's lots of ways that you can draw all over it. In addition, if you need to get rid of anything, you can also press the erase button. So let's say I want to get rid of that. And there we go, I've erased it. This here is the select tool. You'll only use this when we're looking at sticky notes or pictures or shapes, and I'll show you that in a bit. As well, here's the sticky note function. The sticky note function is a way for students or colleagues to write their ideas down on a sticky note, just like how you would do in real life. So I can choose the color of my sticky note, and I can insert an important idea here. And when I press save, you'll see that it automatically puts a sticky note onto the page. I can even do another one and again put in my sticky note. When I click out of this, you can see the sticky notes here, and I can drag them around, and that's that select tool that I was talking about earlier. But you can drag these around to wherever you want, and you can also resize them to make them the size that you want them to be. As well, you can always double click on it, and you can also change the color again of the sticky note. Here is the ability to add an image. So when you add an image, you can upload one straight from your computer. You can do it by URL, so from a website. You can do it the camera itself, so what you see on the camera, Google Image Search, Google Drive, and Google Photos. I'll show you a little quick tip with the Google Image Search. So let's say I want to go look for a multiplication worksheet or a table of some kind. So you can see here there's a bunch of different images that I could choose from. Let's say I really like this times table worksheet. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to make this bigger and put this as an area where people can write all over it. I can maybe assign this to a student in order for them to fill out this times table. And just like before, you can do the answer to the times table using a sticky note. So for example, I can put 1 here, and you can see I can move this here, and let's say I want to fit that right into the times table, and there we go. Another way that students could fill this out is using the text box function. So if I click anywhere after I click on the text box, I can type it in, and you can see there's my text box. I can resize my text box by changing the size of it, and again, I can do that here. And just like the sticky note, if I wanted to make this larger, I can make this much larger, or I can make this much smaller. So keep that in mind when you're showing students how to use this in terms of the text box and the sticky note feature in particular. They can also find shapes. So you can see here, I can draw a circle, and there's lots of different other shapes when you click on this small little arrow that you can use in order to draw other shapes onto this Jamboard. Last but not least, there's also a laser here. The laser is just a really good idea to help highlight certain areas and get your focus onto one part of the Jamboard. Now, this whole white portion here is known as a frame. Okay? And just like Google Slides where you have multiple slides, here now you can have multiple frames. So at the top here, I can go to create frame by clicking on this right arrow here. And that's going to make a second frame for me to now be able to, again, write on as well. You can make more frames if you need to, just by clicking on that right arrow, and we can go from there. Anytime you have something on a frame that you want to get rid of, you can go to clear frame, and that's going to get rid of everything on that one frame. We also have the ability to set our background. If you don't like it just plain white paper like this, you can go and you can change it to dots or line paper or grid paper and on and on. You can even put an image as the background. So let's say I decide to do a Google image search for the sky. And I want one of these pictures on there. And so I'm going to just double click on that. And you can see here that now the background of that whole piece is the sky. As well, you can also zoom in. So when you zoom in, you can click on the zoom button here with the magnifying glass. And I can choose where I want to zoom into. So there I'm zooming in. And if I want to zoom back out, I can just go back to zoom out. And again, back to zoom out. And of course, you can change it to different percentages so that it fits however you find is best going to fit the space that you have on your screen. As well, if you ever have an issue with something you did, feel free to press the undo button. So you can see earlier there was the sky on the background. Well, now it's gone because that was my last action I did. Again, I can undo that. I'm now undoing the graph paper back to the lines, and again, undo, and that's going back to my dot paper. Now, a fun thing about Jamboard is that as students collaborate on this, you're going to see a bunch of different students on here or a bunch of different colleagues on here. And the best way to figure out whether or not what they're doing, whether you can kind of hold them accountable to what they're doing, is you can actually check their version history. So just like before, there's 3 dots here. You can go to See Version History. And when I go to See Version History, you can see all the things that have been done. So for example, you can see here exactly at what time someone has done something. And I can, as I continue to go through here, I can see, oh, the difference between this 109 and this 109 is this arrow that's right here. So you can clearly see what each student has done. And that helps with a little bit of accountability when people are working on the Jamboard at the same time. So an example of how Jamboards kind of work is you can use them really as worksheets or a collaborative space to co-create rubrics or anything like that. So for example, you could have them have a picture of a heart there, tell them to label the parts of the heart. Or just a quick activity like write down 5 things that you remember. All of these things can be done in your Google Classroom where you can assign a Jamboard as an assignment. So if I go to classwork here, I can go and create an assignment. And this is my test assignment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a Google Drive file. When I add my Google Drive file, let's say I really want to have students work on this Jamboard. I can have students view the file. We can have them edit. If it's edit, all of them are going onto the same Jamboard. If we want each student to have their own Jamboard, so they're working on it individually, you can go to make a copy for each student. And just like any Google Classroom post, you can put your topic and your due date, and we can press assign. Students can then go into this and they can access their Jamboard and be able to put whatever it is they need to put on it to answer the questions that you may have had on it. Another way to also access Jamboard is through My Drive. So when you go to New and you want to create a new document, you can actually go to More. And within More, you'll see a bunch more different things. And if you scroll down, you'll see Google Jamboard. Same thing if I click there, this will now bring me to a brand new Jamboard. Last but not least, another way to access Jamboard is within Google Meet itself. So if we go to start an instant meeting, I can now go and take a look at this Google Meet, and I can go into activities and go into whiteboarding. Whiteboarding here is where you can now click on Start a New Whiteboard. And if I start a new whiteboard here, it will actually create a Google Jamboard for everyone to be able to access right off the bat. And this automatically shares with the people that are in the Google Meet. And again, you can access Jamboard like that. So as you can see, Google Jamboard can be integrated with Google Classroom. It can be integrated with Google Meet and Google Drive and everything for formative assessment, collaboration, and more. So if you need any more supports, I hope that helps, but please see tips.epsb for more information. Thank you.